Ladies and gentlemen, joining me in the studio, it's been a long time, Scott Siepker.
Yes, it has, B-sox. It's been a while.
It's been years and different radio
Too
stations.
long. Yes, well, we know that story.
I know. How you doing, man?
Life is freaking great, man. It's really great. We had Kinnick, the documentary, come out late last year, and the reception for that has blown me away. I got to go to Japan and have the international premiere of Kinnick, the documentary, over there. People are probably like, "Why would you go show that over there?"
I was actually interested.
Yeah. Well, let me ask the question for you.
Why, Scott?
Why? I'll tell you. There is a high school over there named after Niall Kinnick. Niall C. Kinnick High School.
Really?
Is in Japan. Yeah. Well, Niall was so much more famous. People know him here, but people don't realize how famous he was nationally in 1939, 1940. A commentator at the time said that he was battling with Shirley Temple to be America's new favorite personality. Like, Niall Kinnick was a big effing deal.
Yeah.
Almost swore there. And
we got to bleep buttons.
Yeah. Okay, good. But he was a big deal. And so after World War II and he had perished, the Navy decided I don't know if you know about how we won against Japan, but so we got a Navy base over there, and so the Navy decided to name the high school on that air base, which is the seat of the Pacific Fleet for the United States Navy, Niall C. Kinnick High School, and we had over 600 people go there and watch that film, and it was so cool. So anyway, we've been doing that, and also if you haven't been to Japan, you should go. Turns out the food's pretty good there.
Really?
Yeah, heard about it. Yeah, if you ever in the scenery, Mount Fuji, not underrated. Pretty great. Pretty great.
The postcard totally worth it.
It did, yeah. It was pretty great.
Scott Siepker in the studio with me. Two questions about Kinnick stuff
real
quick. One, what was the craziest part of that whole thing that you learned about Kinnick not knowing beforehand?
The film is 90 minutes, and shameless plug, you can get it on. We're streaming on Amazon and Apple now. I tell people, even if you know Niall Kinnick, you're going to learn something about it for 87 minutes. I mean, it's incredible. The thing that was the best thing that I learned, and there's so much, but is our discovery of Don Bice, who's Niall's first cousin, who is still alive.
Really?
He lived in Adel. He's 8 years younger than Niall was, and he caught passes and punts from him. He went and trained with him,
that's cool.
And nobody ever interviewed him before. And Don is the heart of our documentary.
Really?
Yeah. He's so, and you'll be like, that guy's not 90. There's no way. He's incredible human being.
Second question revolved around that. It's one my friends and I have kicked around. What if Niall lived? I mean, what would he have become? Whether it was professional football, politics, that sort of thing. Where do you think it would have gone?
Well, my answer is going to sound, B-sox, like I'm just trying to sell a film, I guess. But this is absolutely true. Niall, Ronald Reagan said that Niall could have been president. Yeah, that's from Ronald Reagan. And if you look at JFK's story, it's very similar in the wartime as Niall's, except he survived his crash. George H.W. Bush did the same thing. It made a water landing, survived his airplane crash. And, of course, we know how they all turned out. Niall turned down professional football because he wanted to get into law, and then his grandfather was governor of Iowa, and so it was in his blood. And if you read his war journals, you can tell. He has his eye on that prize of probably being governor or senator, but his potential fully, his ceiling was to be president of the United States. And I always tell people, just think about how not just the state and the country and the world, but the world would be different if Niall Kinnick was the darling of the Republican Party in the 1950s and 60s instead of Richard Nixon. Imagine how different. I don't know how Niall would have handled Vietnam, but I know we wouldn't have had anything like Watergate.
He had such a passion and a way of speaking that you don't find very often. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, there's only two audio recordings. Yeah. Oh, and we have all the letters in the film. I mean, his family is so smart and they're so eloquent with their writing. But there's only two audio recordings of Niall. There's a radio interview, and then of course the very famous Heisman speech. And when you hear his voice, you have to remind yourself this is the voice of a 22-year-old.
Yeah.
Because you think, oh, this is an elder statesman, right? No. This is a 22-year-old. So to imagine where Niall would have gone if he could have survived the war. Niall's death, just like the death of Jack Trice, they are real losses on an interpersonal level, but then you can expand that to a much wider level.
It's interesting stuff. I always thought the best compliment about Niall Kinnick, and I forget who said it, but they said he was the last true scholar athlete, where he put scholar in front of athlete.
He definitely was totally committed to his academics and a very smart person. I mean, when he left law school to go into the Navy after 1 year, he was ranked third in his class. So he had it all. He had it all. And he could have made, I think, made the world a more positive place. Again, I know that sounds like it's over the top and maybe cheesy, but when you get to watch the film, and I think you'll take the same conclusion away that I did.
Well, he's one of those people that's larger than life, and we don't have that anymore. We have, like nowadays, you look at it, we have influencers or, hey, it's the guy or gal from TikTok or what have you, You don't have that Niall Kinnick out there.
And that's one of the things we wanted to do with the film is to strip away the myth.
Yeah.
He has become this large...
Oh, he's a legend.
Large bronze statue, right? But once you remember the flesh and blood man and that he had his quirks, like he got nervous around girls, that he had this awesome observational sense of humor. Like, people don't think of Niall that way. They think of him as that statesman, right?
Yeah.
But he was a real flawed human being. And when you remember that, the things that he stands for, which is so much more than play on the gridiron, what he actually stands for is all achievable by us, what we think of as normal people. But Niall really was normal. He just happened to have a few skills that set him apart.
Scott Siepker. We've got a lot of things to talk about. We'll get to all of that here in a second. Real quick, you are doing Trice?
Yeah, we're getting through the fundraising phase now, and
Okay.
I'm looking at having Trice, the documentary working title, Trice, Life and Legacy, will come out August 2024.
Imagine that being a double feature, Trice and Kinnick.
I think that is possible someday in the near future. Both films will be quite different, but be similar in the sense that it is a story that when the credits roll, their stories will stick with you.
If people want to help with that, you said you're in the fundraising scene.
Yes.
How do they do that?
We haven't released that yet, but
Okay.
Stay tuned. If you follow me on social media, you'll probably hear something about it. And I have some exciting news coming up about that pretty soon. But
the website for most of that information?
if you just follow me on my socials, Scott Siepker, it's at Scott Siepker on most of the things. If you don't know how to spell it, just search Iowa Nice Guy and don't watch the original Iowa Nice video at work.
Nowadays, that may really.
Oh, yeah,
get
you might actually, know.
Hey, with all the sports in mind, what do you think is the state of not just Iowa in general, but just Iowa sports in general right now?
Well, certainly women's basketball
Yes.
is thriving, which is awesome. Caitlin Clark is a transcendent figure in the game, and Iowa State, of course, I know they're dealing. The women's team is dealing with a lot of transfers now, but
That was
obviously
kind of a lot all at once, right?
It was. But Bill Fenley, a Cyclone legend, there's a reason why he has a lifetime contract. So I have a lot of confidence in Bill to be able to put a team that's really good on the court next year. Of course, football right now is not doing great. I know both fan bases are a little angsty, and then men's basketball, Iowa State, obviously TJ.
What happened?
When TJ's still playing the style of basketball he doesn't really like to play, which is that West Virginia style of like we're just gonna dirty it up like the Detroit Pistons of the 1990s, 1980s, and but once he gets some real quick skill players in there, I think you're going to see a high-flying offense, and that's going to be exciting. Fran is doing what Fran does. I mean, I feel like he's going to make the tournament, and one of these years,
He might get a win.
They got to make the Sweet 16 at some point. It's just got to happen.
As an Iowa fan, I'm over Fran, and I think people don't want to give him up because it's like, he gets 20 wins a season on this. It's
well,
like,
and he came from Todd Licklider. That was a real problem. The Todd Licklider error was real bad, and so he gets the benefit of the doubt through that.
I'm just ready to move on. Just as an Iowa fan, it's hard to watch those games. It's hard to, hey, I'm starting to believe, and then the NCAA tournament happens. I thought it was interesting this past week, and they were bringing up the salaries of like Lisa Bluter and Kirk and Fran and Brian Ferentz was getting thrown in there. I thought the more interesting comparison was like strength of the program was Fran and Lisa, because if you look at what Fran has done in his time, and granted it's only about half, but she has as many Sweet 16 entries as he has NCAA wins.
Well, yeah, Fran has never made the Sweet 16
that's
ever.
the thing. It's like everybody, the strength of the program. Okay, he made it to the NCAA tournament. Cool.
It's certainly there's a lot of angst that goes around with that, and I think it's so cool to see the state rally around women's basketball right now.
Although,
that's so cool to see.
It really is. It's awesome. It's great,
and I think it's just going to keep growing. And Caitlin Clark is the spearhead of that, and so it's going to be interesting to see how that all shakes out. Does she come back for 1 year or for 2? What happens? Stay tuned. That's what we call a tease in the business.
Yes, it is. Very, very well done.
Thank you very much. Sir. I've done this a few times.
Scott Siepker in the studio with me. Real quick, I want to do one more sports thing before we move on. Where do you think Iowa State football is right now? Because I think they're in an interesting spot. I want to hear what you say, and then I'll give you why I asked this.
I think it is. I mean, right now, they are certainly deeper than they were under, say, Paul Rhodes or any of the predecessors. So they can absorb injury better than they have in any other time in my life. It really is going to come down to quarterback play, I think. Can Deckers take that next step? If he can, then Iowa State can certainly compete in this newfangled Big 12. It's the Big 23 or whatever it is. I think that they can, but it really is going to come down to always having a little bit of a mobile quarterback, because offensive line obviously the game is changing, but offensive line has always been a little bit of a struggle. And I know that is a emphasis for Matt. And so hopefully that keeps going, but a little bit of movement in the quarterback position and more headsy play, I think will result in Iowa State being pretty competitive in the conference.
The Big 12 didn't do them any favors with their schedule for next season.
No, but this is the thing that's going to happen now that you don't play everybody once. Iowa has benefited from this, their football
more
program,
often than not,
right? And that is kind of the downside of such wide conferences. But it's just the landscape that we're in now. And what you got to do is you got to get that NIL money streaming in, and you just keep bringing in good players and get those transfers going.
The reason I asked that was because I think Matt Campbell himself is in an interesting position with Iowa State right now, where you came off the 2020 season where you had the big Fiesta Bowl win over Oregon. Next year is supposed to be the best team Iowa State's ever had. Things didn't work out quite the way they were. You lost some guys. You took a step back this last season. Now this season you've got those guys back. My thought and wonder it goes into how the fans are going to react, like how this season goes. Like if it doesn't go as well as everybody thinks, does Matt Campbell start to lose some of that shine? And
I think that
is it kind of the Paul Rhodes thing.
Yeah, I think we're a long ways from Matt being on the hot seat or even a lukewarm seat.
Yeah.
But if this season is a disappointment, the temperature will start to crank up a little bit. I think there's no doubt about it. And I think if Matt were sitting here right now next to us, he would agree that if it is a disappointment this year, he absolutely should be his seat should be getting warmer. And there's no doubt about that. I mean, 7-6 with Brock Purdy and all those great players on that team was an absolute disappointment. You can't shake it any other way. Last year is understandable. They got the win against Iowa. That's a big step. Get that monkey off your back if you're Matt Campbell. And now you head into this future, into this new landscape of the Big 12, and we'll see how it shakes out.
Scott Siepker in the studio with me right now. All right, let's talk about why you're actually
here. Oh, well, no, I'm here to talk to you, of course, but I happen to also now have...
You have a new gig.
Well, look, I love telling Iowa stories. I love working with Iowa companies. I have my film production company. I'm not in most of the videos I produce, right? I do a lot for Iowa companies.
Big cheese doesn't need to be seen all the time.
Yeah. I like how that reminds me. I should probably work with dairy company.
But you need a card, Scott Siepker.
Big cheese. Don't cut me. And so okay. Well, hopefully people got that joke out there. So I found out about this new startup called HUDU, HUDU, which is an app where you post projects that you need to get done, and then people from your community bid on those projects, and you get to pick the bid that you want. So, and it can be anything. It's so much. If you think of it like Uber, where if a driver came in now you just get one set price from one driver, right? But if you had it where you got 3 drivers to send you what they would charge, then you get to pick not just on low cost, but the style of car, the driver's rating. And that's what HUDU is, except so much more than driving. Anything that's legal, you can list. Leaky faucets, picking up dog poop, raking leaves, just doing spring cleaning. You want somebody to clean your garage, go for it. You need a golf lesson or you need a photographer for senior photos that are coming up. You post it on HUDU, and then people will just bid on that, and then you get to go through the bids and pick.
So is there a rating system for all these
stuff?
It's
a peer-reviewed system, just like, say, think about like Uber. You get those 5 stars, and so you can pick based off the people's records and, of course, their little bio and resume, what skills they might have. And when I heard about this idea, I was like, this is a great idea. Why didn't I think of this idea? So I thought,
makes you feel dumb
I know,
sometimes, right?
I did. I was like, why did I not think of this? And so I talked to him. I was like, I want to be involved. And so I'm now, B-sox, sit down. This is a pretty cool title. I am Chief Brand Ambassador.
No.
Woo! Yeah, pretty big deal. Title. Thank you for sitting down. I didn't want you to faint all of a sudden. And but it's been great. The guy who started it, Derek, is a combat veteran.
Okay.
And he wanted to create an app that not only, I talked about the listing side, but really he created the app so people could make money easier.
Yeah.
And so if you have any skills at all, get on the HUDU app, which you just download on in your app stores, and you can look through the projects and say you want to make an extra $100 to take your partner out to dinner or something. Look on there. Maybe there's, somebody has 10 loads of laundry they need done. Boom, bid on it.
It seems like one of those things like, say you're out of a job for a little bit. It's like, hey, you know what? I may not want to do laundry the rest of my life, but hey, I can go over and make a couple $100 doing this and be on to the next thing.
Yeah, 60% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck, and they have less than $1,000 in the bank. This is why Derek, when he traveled around the country to try and interview people and figure out why is it so hard to make money? It ultimately, people are like, it's just not easy. And so he wanted to create an app that's the ultimate side hustle. So
think about it for a young kid doing it. They always say you need, experience on your resume. Talk about a way to pound it out.
And you really can. We're just getting started, right? And we launched in Iowa because we know we're going to have some warts to work out. Yeah. And Iowans are going to give us the feedback. We just launched our new version of the app, 2.2, based off the feedback we were getting from Iowans. And so if you can get involved, there is a world in the future where people hopefully can just make a living going through every day. On that app and being doers on HUDU. That's absolutely what we want to get to. But we need listers, and I own a house. There's so many projects that you don't want to, like dusting blinds sucks. I'd rather pay somebody to do that. Like, get on there, see what somebody would bid to dust your blinds. And you just do that with whatever project you have. It helps you get your to-do list done so you can, do things more like listen to KGGO. Hey-o.
Thank you for the shameless plug. I enjoyed it. Very well done. No, I was actually thinking, if you're in a midlife crisis looking for a new career or something.
Say you were working for the radio.
You think, you know what? Maybe I want to give filmmaking a try.
Yeah, that's right. And so, if you have if you can sew, get on there. Yeah. We had this B-sox, we had this amazing, some people have posted things we never imagined people would post, and one of them was a dad wanted to take his daughter, he's a single dad, take his daughter to the daddy-daughter dance, but he didn't know how to do her hair. So he posted on HUDU.
Oh, cool.
Can you help me? And so we got some bids. He picked one, and then someone came over, did her hair, and then they went to the dance together. That's really at the heart of it. Again, I don't want to sound too cheesy like I did, when we were talking about Kinnick, but this is an app that will hopefully help people that need to get things done so they have more time, but also help people make money.
It's like Uber with heart.
That's a promo. It absolutely, Derek has that woven in. When he talked to me the first time, he's like, Scott, I want you involved because Iowa Nice is woven through the fabric of HUDU's development. Yeah. We want neighbors helping neighbors. And again, obviously this is a business. I'm not trying to pull the wool over your eyes, right? Yeah. This is a business, but our
you put an ad up on HUDU and I responded.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. The ethos of the company is helping each other. And I know there are single moms out there. There are single parents who it's hard when you don't have a partner to get all that stuff done.
You don't even have to be a single parent.
No. That's what I'm saying.
I mean, we have an 8-year-old and a 1-year-old, and there's 0 hours in the day for anything extra.
And if you post a project that you want to get done, and you get to see the price of the bid, right?
Yeah.
And so if it's not in your budget, you don't go with it, right? And that's okay. But it's an app that can just can add so much value, I think.
No, that's very
and
cool stuff.
and again, I know I'm talking about a business here, but this is an app developed by an Iowan in Iowa, and I don't know, I'm just really passionate. I hope you can hear how passionate I am about it, because I think this can help a lot of people.
And that's what it sounds like. It doesn't sound like just an app. You know, it does sound like you don't get, if it was just an app, you want to get the story of the guy, you know, wanting to do something for his little girl so they could go to a dance. You don't get that story if it was just an app.
Thank you for saying that. I hadn't thought of it that way before, but you're absolutely right. And so ultimately, that's what we want to be doing with HUDU, is to be making money easier for people. You're still going to have to work. There's no getting around that.
Yeah.
But you can go through and you can put the skills that you have to use, and you can get the money. You go do the job, you get it done satisfactorily, and then boom, money's delivered.
How do people find out more?
Go to the App Store, search HUDU, HUDU, and just check it out, download it. You don't have to. It's free to download and sign up. Just sign up, look through some of the listings, see if it's something you want to bid on, or maybe it'll spark an idea in your head, like, oh, right, that one window I have that's been stuck for 14 years, I'm going to put that on there and just say, because there's, like, I know my neighbors, they ask me, who do you know? Who do you know does this? Who do you know that? That's where the name comes from. And it's finding a handyman. Yeah, you got it.
Okay.
Who do you know? And so it's finding a handyman sometimes hard, because the handymans are really busy. Yeah. There's no doubt. And they want to do projects. A lot of those guys want to do bigger projects, right? So they want to make it worth their time. This gives you that one-off ability to go project by project, and just hopefully streamlines everything and gives people more access to getting projects done, and also give them more access to getting their bills paid, or having a little extra cash on top to have use for discretionary purposes.
Perfect. Scott, thanks so much for coming in.
Thanks for having me on, B-sox.
Appreciate it,
It's nice
man.
to see your face again.
Yeah, I missed you.
I missed you too, man.
I missed your musk.
Well, I'm not going to say the same about you.